What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. In the postgame, after the Clippers played the Lakers, in which they got the victory, Ty Lue speaks on the status of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Now, most probably would say he sounded a little bit gloomy about the Kawhi Leonard situation, but with Paul George, they have to just see in regards to the MRI once he gets a second or third opinion on that after he's gotten, several weeks of rest, and just have to see how that goes. In regards to some reports that's out there, Paul George is feeling good and was feeling good in regards to his elbow, things like that, and hopefully he doesn't have to have the surgery. So we hope good things happen there. As far as Kawhi Leonard, the statement being made by Ty Lue more likely is probably, possibly that Kawhi won't come back this season. Well, honestly, it doesn't really surprise me, but at the same time, I don't know how much thought I put into it, because I feel like Ty Lue is the type of guy that will say something enough to the media to get them off his back, not trying to tell too much, give too much away, and let it be unknown until the surprise happens. I feel like that's the type of mentality he has. And I could be wrong, but that's just the type of vibe that he gives me when I listen to him talk. And, as the Clippers organization, they're not supposed to leak out too much information about their players, because anything the media gets, they're going to try to twist it, turn it into something that it might not even be. So I definitely respect Ty Lue for not saying much and ending the quote by saying, "I'm not a doctor. We'll just see what the future holds," and, carry it that way. But in regards to Kawhi Leonard, a lot of reports have came out over time that, or especially the last couple months, that, he's ahead of schedule in regards to his workouts and everything and how he's moving, his mobility, and the target was March, April for him to come back. I always thought if he did come back in March or April, that would be great to see him come back. But I always kind of had a feeling in the back of my mind that it's possible if the Clippers made the playoffs, which I believe they will, he might actually come back within the first round of the playoffs, because that would give him enough time to actually rehab it, enough time to give himself mental confidence that he can lift off his legs and jump the way he's supposed to and be the player that he was. Because we know Kawhi Leonard, as far as from San Antonio days, if Kawhi doesn't feel like he's 100% or 110%, he's not going to go out there, because he doesn't feel like he can dominate or contribute to a team to help them win a championship. Since we know that's all he's predicated about, since we know that's all he's about is predicated on winning championships. So that's a notion that we have to understand in regards to Kawhi Leonard, and we have to just respect. Now, hopefully, he does come back between March and April to get his rhythm, because that would be better if he was able to come back at that time, as I said before, because that'll give him enough time to get rhythm before the playoffs start, so he can be the monster that he is and monster that he needs to be to go into the playoffs so they can make a run. As for Paul George, like I said, with the resting that he's getting with his elbow and everything, it's a very good chance he might possibly be able to come back. But like I said, they need more MRI tests to be able to tell and give more details on it. Just because he's feeling good with his elbow, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be able to come back and play in an NBA game where guys are going to war and guys are bumping shoulders, knocking knees, and, doing all that physical contact. So, we have to just see how that goes. So I feel like Ty Lue said the right things in regards to that, not trying to give away too much information, but also not trying to, give off the wrong impression. And I feel like, possibly for some people, he might have gave off the wrong impression about some of the comments about their injuries, but I didn't really take it that way, because like I said, I take him as a type of guy, just say what he needs to say to get the media off his back. But we'll just have to see exactly how it pans out, because for this team, the way they are, when you look at how they played last night against a Lakers team who had two superstars on the floor, the Clippers had a 17-point lead. they had a lead where they were comfortable. I feel like they got a little too comfortable where they took their foot off the gas, but at the same time, they had a lead to where it propelled them to victory, and the Lakers didn't get the victory. So, regardless, it was a great game. It was definitely a classic type game between two rival teams. It came down to the bitter end, and as I said, I feel like the NBA world needed a game like that, needed that type of basketball NBA playoff type atmosphere type game, which the Clippers and Lakers played last night, which was phenomenal. And shout out to the Clippers for getting the win, but also shout out to the Lakers, for making it competitive at the end, because for a while it just looked like the Clippers were going to run away, and it just looked like the Lakers didn't even belong on the floor with the Clippers the way the Lakers were playing at the time before they actually made the comeback. And when you think about, everything, the way it's unfolding for the Clippers, they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of depth. And who knows what's going to happen at the trade deadline. Maybe they won't make a move. Maybe they will make a move. But hopefully if they do, it needs to be pre-calculated, and it needs to be a move that fits, that'll allow them to be an effective team that can possibly help them win. And if the status of Kawhi Leonard is unknown, well, if they do make a trade, they're going to have to make a trade for somebody who can actually help. If PG finds a way to come back, I personally don't think they can win a championship without the services of a Kawhi Leonard, because I think Kawhi Leonard's that great, and Paul George is a really good player too. He has some greatness in him as well, but I'm not sure if they can pull off 3-4 victories in the playoffs and make it to a finals and win it, because there's so much other teams out there that's stacked. You got the Suns, you got the Warriors. Even if they had to play Dallas again in the first round, that would be a tough matchup, because remember, they almost lost last year to Dallas with Kawhi Leonard on the floor and Paul George. Now you be going against a Dallas team with a more confident Luka Doncic, and now he's more on the same page with Porzingis than he was last year, and the Clippers wouldn't have Kawhi Leonard. So, that would be really tough to get out of a series like that. And then on top of that, if you look at the way the Clippers are in the standings, they're the 8th seed. So if they go up to the 7th seed at best or something like that, between the 7th and 8th seed, you're playing the Phoenix Suns or the Warriors in round one. That's going to be a tough matchup to get out of. It really is. So, when you look at that in its entirety, it really is a tough situation for the Clippers to be in, because you're looking at a situation where it's a possibility you might not have either one of your superstars, but even if you have one, it's still a mountain to climb against those other teams who have more than one superstar and who's been playing all year long with chemistry. And like I said, when you look at the Warriors, if they had to play them, Klay Thompson's only getting better game by game. He's only getting more confidence game by game. That jump shot it's going to start falling even more, along with Stephen Curry, who's getting hot again. And then the Suns are probably the best team in the NBA right now, record-wise, because what are they, 44, 43, and 9? That's unreal. So, it's going to be tough. And then if they happen to do make it to the finals, you're going to have to play a team like the Nets or the Bucks, some team like that, which, those teams are got a lot more firepower, and it's going to be really tough to beat those teams in a 7-game series if the Clippers have to make it that far, but I don't think they would without Kawhi Leonard. So it's a real tough situation that the Clippers are in. Very, very questionable situation, I would say. And Ty Lue is really doing a good job with what he has on the floor, but I know his sights are set on winning a championship, but he really can't look that far right now because he doesn't know about his best player in Kawhi Leonard, and his second best player is also uncertain, and they just hope that he doesn't have to have surgery and can avoid that and be able to come back and help the Clippers at least stay a formidable team and maybe put them up in the standings, maybe possibly until Kawhi Leonard can possibly step on the floor and put this team in championship contention. It's very, very tough to think that the Clippers, with all the talent that they have and the wins that they're getting against teams like the Lakers and other teams, they don't have an opportunity to be looked at as a contender team just because their two superstars isn't there. You want to see everybody healthy, and that's just the notion, but in reality, it doesn't go that way, and that's not the way it is for the Clippers right now. But hey, they got a lot of confidence, and hopefully they can build on that confidence, because some of the young guys they got really go out there and play hard, and they really put up points. And shout out to Marcus Morris. I've been saying he's the most inconsistent player on the Clippers probably, but last night he showed up really big with 29 points, and if they're able to get stuff like that out of him, then they would be a lot better team anyway. But like I said, the inconsistency with players like him and the unknown of your two superstars being around and the unknown of who's going to get traded and who's going to get kept in, the trade, possibility, that just makes the world of the Clippers very, very confusing. And definitely, I'm pretty sure Clippers Nation hates to, definitely think that Kawhi and PG don't have a chance of coming back. But you also hate the fact that, you see how hard this team works every night, and it really doesn't amount to anything because this team is built to win a championship. This team really isn't just built to go to the playoffs. This team is built to make a deep run in the playoffs so they can make it to a finals, which they almost did last year, but it just didn't happen because they came short because they were missing their leader in Kawhi Leonard. It's just the way it goes, I hate it for fans. I hate it for myself. I hate it for, just the sport alone, because you want to see every player healthy, because that's the way you can really determine how good teams are, and that's how you can really determine who's the best players and who's the best out of all. And I just definitely would like to see the Clippers get healthy. I'd like to see Kawhi and PG come back. With this team that they have right now, I think they really make some noise in the playoffs, because this team is really, really, built the right way. And Ty Lue has them playing like this, knowing that they don't have two superstars, but they're playing like they do. They're playing like they have confidence going out there playing like Kawhi and PG is on the floor. So, it's definitely good to see. Shout out to them, for getting the victory. And only thing you could do now at this point is just hope that Kawhi and PG make a return. You hope that Paul George doesn't have to have that Tommy John surgery on his elbow, because if he does, his season is done. And you hope that Kawhi Leonard wants to come back or is able to come back and, be explosive again like he was, because he's just that dynamic of a player that can help you win a championship, and everybody knows that. So, without him, the operation is probably going to be a failure either way. So, you definitely want to see him come back, more so than anybody, because he can definitely, put a team on his back and carry him to a championship, just as he did a couple seasons ago in Toronto. So, only thing, like I said, at this point, just hope and see how it goes, and things will pan out the way they're supposed to. That's the only thing I can say. However it's supposed to go, it's going to go that way. However the dice fall, that's how it's going to fall. You know what I'm saying? That you got to play with the cards you're dealt, and that's just the way it is. So you got to hope that both of them come back healthy, hope they can make a run in the championship, but we also got to see if that's possible and just wait until that time comes. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section as always, and hey, Cali out.